Good evening, my beautiful crime family and everybody. My mods, my beautiful mods. We had a nice little meeting. There's going to be lots more coming on that. Um, we do have a lot of plans. We do. There's memberships coming, merchandise coming. Everything was going to be, all proceeds will be going to Lake St. Jude's Hospital, Children's Hospital, that is. So yeah, we got a lot of plans coming up. Uh, this isn't. This is kind of a sad day. It is a sad day. In another case that we've been following here a little, and we're going to get into that a little later. I'm going to try to keep this as upbeat as I can. I think it's a good thing to do. So, but here again, you know me, early morning, I'm out delving around in videos and stuff, and I run across one, and talking about, maybe some of you don't know that and the timing of this is just unbelievable. The timing of Scott Green, the president of the University of Idaho, writes a book. And a lot of people think it's just, about the university and all that. No, there's a narrative here. And he has a channel. He has a chapter that is on the Idaho 4. And we're going to get into this book. What gets to me is that this comes out before trial. And of course there's a narrative, right? Paint that and the video I'm going to be sharing is from somebody that they're good people. It's a good channel. It's a great channel. I don't know how much research she does into things. And yeah, I'd like you to sub her. The links are down below in the description. I just really had a hard time watching the video because I started getting pissed off. People just don't see what's going on. And there is a narrative being pushed. And let's make that university nice and shiny and clean. We got to get that university shiny and clean before trial, right? And that's the way I take it. I mean, I'm not stupid. And I know my crime family isn't stupid. And I know that's the way you're going to take this too. It's the shining of the university. Make it all look good. You have people that were all frat boys, including Green, including the judge. Let's make it all shiny and clean for everybody. And it pisses me off. To be quite honest, it pisses me off. Anyway, I'm going to start this. I'm going to jump around a little bit in it, but I'm also going to be stopping it and talking also. So that's where we're going to start today. And let's do that. Okay, so this, did I do the wrong thing? I did do the wrong thing. Hold on. I'm getting there. There we go. Okay, and this is by Plunder, okay? And she's had her channel for quite a while. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of her, and maybe some of you haven't. The link is down below. And I've enjoyed other videos that she's put out. So, yeah, you know, uh, you can sub her up and everything. Anyway, I'm gonna start playing this.
4 University of Idaho students lost their lives tragically. Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison or MADDIEMOGEN, and Kaylee Gonzalez. And what I read in this book just made me shed some tears. It just made me literally shed some tears going through the portion of the book of when the tragedy happened, when the memorial happened, when the vigil happened, everything. So let's talk about all of it. So those 4 students were killed off campus in a tragic way. And the University of Idaho president has a lot to say about it. He wrote a book about it. It wasn't supposed to be about the tragedy, but we learned why he decided to include a chapter about Bryan Kohberger and the tragedies in this book. They take you through the whole time of the tragedy happening and up until the point when former Washington State University student Bryan Kohberger was arrested on December 30th, 2022.
So here, I know a lot of people thought this book was just about the university and blah blah blah. No, he gets into it, and the way I look at this, and of course I'm going to, because that's what it is. It's a shining of the, make that university shine. And I'm sure he has to do that to some extent, because I'm sure they're losing people that would normally be going to that college. I bet you. I wonder I would like to find out what the the percentage of people going to that school is this year compared to other years and upcoming years. I would like to know that information. I really would. Anyway.
So now Bryan is looking at 4 counts of first-degree murder due to his alleged role in the stabbings. Now this book, this really heartfelt book, which I purchased this morning, it has some people wondering and asking, will Bryan Kohberger go the way of O.J. Simpson? I've been thinking about that a lot. Ever since I watched The Interview Room, they did a great analysis of this book. So you can find the link to The Interview Room and all these other sources below. First and foremost, a link to the book. I felt good about purchasing.
And she's trying to compare, and I don't know if he states it in the book or not, but that OJ was found innocent, and that they don't want that to happen again. So they're already, the people are painting narratives out there that, this man right now, by law, is an innocent man until he is proven guilty in that court of law. And there should be no other narrative out there. None. The only narrative that should be out there is that he is an innocent man until he is proven guilty in that court of law. Period. Anyway. I'm sorry I get wound up.
It's $21 on Kindle, and it's $34.12 right now as a hardcover copy. So I felt good about buying the book because according to the University of Idaho, the proceeds from the book will go to support this vandal healing garden and memorial. It looks beautiful. It's being designed to honor the 4 victims. It's really, from the mock-ups and everything you see, and there's videos about it, people talking about it being a space where people can go and remember the victims, have a quiet time to reflect. They call it a visual representation of our vandal strong resilience. The space will include a permanent reminder of Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee. So since the proceeds from the book are going towards this healing garden to help students, to help people, to help those grieving, survivors, everyone, I felt good about buying this book. $21, I'm glad I did. It literally made me cry when I got to the portions of what they went through November 13th, 2022 and beyond in the aftermath. So before we get all into a fair use look at the book, I want to talk a little bit about this order from Judge John Judge. Boy, was he aptly named, wasn't he? About the courtroom conduct. Latah County Judge John C. Judge is presiding. So right now we're looking at, what's today? Today is Tuesday, January 16th. 2024, we've got two motions hearings coming up in 10 days. So one is for January 26, 2024. It's at 11 a.m. It's a motion hearing. However, that is a sealed hearing close to the public. So that's a defendant's motion to reconsider orders, and we can't see it. That same day, 1 p.m. local time, Judge John Judge, I like saying his name. It's about the defendant's motion to reconsider orders and scheduling conference. That's open to the public. And of course, it's not going to be like before, where we have all these pool reporters or different ones in the courtroom zooming in. And, we love that stuff, but we can't do it anymore. We like to look at facial expressions. We love it when Court TV or Getty Images, whoever's acting as the pool reporter is able to get those shots and we see the facial images and expressions and all that stuff. But no, according to this new order, it was filed January 5th, 2024. Amended order governing courthouse and courtroom conduct. So things are changing. Thank God they'll still have cameras in the courtroom, but it'll just be the court's camera. They talk about seating and all that other stuff. Cell phones are permitted inside the courthouse, but they have to be turned off and stowed out of view. They can't text, email, record, transmit audio images. They can't tweet. They can't post on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, none of that. Violation of the rule means you might get your cell phone confiscated. The main section I was wondering about is coverage. Okay, how do we play by the rules so we can all keep watching the YouTube stream of Brian Kohberger in this hearing and future hearings when he goes to trial, whenever that'll be? Now, the coverage, it says, and I quote, "No video recording, still photography, or audio recording is permitted by members of the media or the public as ordered by the court in the November 17th order." So that confused some people because that's the headline you see. No one can stream from the courtroom. Well, media cannot. However, a live stream of the proceedings will be provided by the court and will be available in real time on the court's YouTube page. And they give us the URL of Judge's YouTube channel. This is the most important part. It'll kind of be like when we were watching Letitia Stauch's trial. I think probably a webcam somewhere, who knows, in the back. Hopefully it has good audio. Hopefully it won't accidentally one day pull back and show the jury like they did in Letitia's case. Anyway, it says the media and the public may capture and use the live stream video and audio footage, but are strictly prohibited from altering the footage in any way, including zooming in on the defendant. So we can capture it, we can use the live stream video and audio footage, but it says again, live broadcasting, transmitting, or streaming by the media and the public from the inside of the courtroom is prohibited. These prohibitions include during recesses in the court proceedings. So that's still a little confusing. We can capture and use the live stream video and audio footage, but we can't alter it in any way, including zooming in on Brian. I get that part. Okay, so if someone's watching the YouTube live stream, if another YouTuber or Facebooker or TikToker or whomever is streaming that YouTube live stream, I don't know if that's allowed or not. That's one reason I'm glad I don't stream, because the way this is written, it's a little confusing. We know people from inside the courtroom can't live stream, but are people allowed to live stream the live stream of John Judge? People will do it anyway, so the main thing is we can't zoom in. Now, that's a big conundrum, because what if it's just some wide shot, like a wide establishing shot of the courtroom? And of course, when people go live, we love to watch those who go live. It's like a community in the chat together. 9 times out of 10, you'll get people saying, zoom in, I want to see them, zoom in over here, can you show me that? Or, the person is moving themselves around the screen and let me zoom in, let me see what Brian's doing. What is he saying? What is he talking to his lawyer about? What are his facial expressions like? John Judge is saying we cannot do that. We cannot zoom in on the defendant. And it's still not clear. I've linked to it below. You can read it yourself. It says live broadcasting, transmitting, or streaming by the media and the public from inside the courtroom is prohibited, including during recesses in the court proceedings. proceedings, but it doesn't specifically state that it's okay to live stream the live stream. But at least we know we can capture the live stream video and audio. We just cannot alter it. We can't alter the footage, which is just different. It's weird. I get it. You can't alter it to make it seem like someone was in the courtroom who wasn't there. You can't create some deep fake of Brian Koberger. You can't even zoom in on him. You know how much? Like, whoop, all the way? Like, it's weird. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. They won't live stream audio or video of closed hearings, private bench conferences, sidebars, and all that stuff. And then they talk about other stuff, parking and all that stuff. But now let's get into.
And I think that's a good thing with actually, the video stuff is a good thing. But we got to remember also that now Brian has filed he wants it wide open. And, I know they want what the prosecution has, and they keep delaying. And I think Brian is starting to realize that the prosecution has more and has more to hide than he does. He doesn't have anything to hide. And I think that's finally starting to hit him. And as far as out the chat out there, I think there's a misunderstanding between two people, and I wish they would just straighten it out because they're both good people. I think there's been a misunderstanding there. So clear it up. Okay, anyway, I'm going to let this keep going because this is going to start getting really interesting here now.
Into this book. Who do you think will be the first person who zooms in on Brian Koberger? Who do you think will be the first person who didn't read this order, who will zoom in on Brian Koberger? I hope it doesn't make everyone lose their privileges to watch the trial. So I'm praying everyone plays nice and that John Judge is okay with the way we report on it. But let's talk about this book. The name of the book is University President's Crisis Handbook: How a Non-Traditional Leader Took His Alma Mater from Insolvency to Sustainable Success. It's the first edition. So it's by President Scott Green. He has a very impressive resume. If you read everything in his About the Author section on Amazon, and his co-author is Temple Kenyon. She's also a fellow University of Idaho alumni. And so this book, again, I didn't know about it until I watched the interview room last night. They're talking about President Scott Green's approach to leading the school through all these major crises. Of course, the pandemic they touch on and all these things, but especially, of course, what happened November 13th, 2022. So apparently the book was available Thursday, December 7th, nationwide, but I just found out about it now a few weeks later. So Scott and Temple, they both are fellow Vandals. They even did a book signing Thursday, December 7th at the Vandal store, apparently in Moscow, Idaho. And Scott Green has made comments about the book. I even learned a lot from the press. I'm learning here. Scott Green, actually, at one time, his dad owned that 1122 King Road house. Isn't that crazy? Talk about a small world. And I'm wondering and hoping, as we'll talk about at the end.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? That is totally, I don't think, yeah, and right, exactly, Mr. Centennial, that's exactly what I feel. And this is that's the link there, and it's down in the descriptions. Exactly. Yes, exactly, Rowena. Yeah, I don't know about that misunderstanding, what's going on. I hope Strange didn't leave or anything like that over stupid stuff like this. Yeah, I guess it's all right. Anyway, yeah, starts to get to me. Yeah, the chat stuff, when it starts affecting my show, I don't like that. Anyway, here we go.
That these little nuances, Easter eggs or coinkydinks, all this stuff doesn't play into a jury's mind and confuse them and make them liken Brian Kohberger to an O.J. Simpson. There are similarities in the brutality of the crimes, both involving horrible, heinous stabbings, and I see why some people could liken it, and folks like my age, us who lived through the O.J. Simpson trial in the 90s, how shocked we were at that verdict, how we don't want to see it ever happen again. Just because Scott penned this book with Temple, how it doesn't mean the same fate will meet Brian Kohberger. But there are some weird things going on. Scott said this book really is a celebration of the Vandal community. And I mean that broadly, not just our campus, but also the community of Moscow. What we accomplished together over these 4 years is really remarkable when you think about it. So that's the main thrust of the book, or the main reason it was written. Scott Green has only been at the helm about 4 years. Several roadblocks hit him. Insolvency, that means the university didn't have enough money basically to pay its bills. He had to turn that situation around financially. That's the main thread of the book. Only towards the end do they get to the Kohberger situation. So Temple is saying the book isn't just aimed at the Vandal community, but for anyone in a position of leadership, whether in higher education, business, or public health. They're saying everything they've learned dealing with the pandemic, and especially with this crisis, the murders, it can help others. And unfortunately, they're saying other college communities might experience the same thing. So here's what we went through. The book has interviews with more than 50 people, including University of Moscow leaders. So they're talking at first, and the chapters, of course, I skipped over. Buy the book. I encourage you to buy it. It's going towards that beautiful, peaceful garden to offer healing to people. It's a great memorial.
Like, I thought didn't they get like a bunch of money for that garden already? I mean, how much money does it take to make a garden, a memorial garden? I don't know. And I agree with Michelle E. I agree with that. I don't get into her opinion. She does have some good shows sometimes, but I think a lot of creators, they go by what other people are saying, and they don't really research. Like, I mean, you guys know the deep dives that we've done, like on Linda Lane, the Reflection series, and all the work that we've done, and all the research and all the hours. Some people don't do that. They have their channels, and that's fine. That's fine. And that's fine. She has an opinion. And I'm more worried about him putting out this book not long before trial. I mean, think about this, folks. This guy lives and breathes that university, who's trying to clean up that image now, and he comes out with the book. The juror pool is coming from people that know this guy. This is not going to be a jury per se for Brian Kohberger. It's not going to be his peers. His peers are in Pennsylvania. This is going to be Idaho. And this guy comes out with a book. He's making money on their deaths to clean up, because he doesn't want people to know what that place is like and what those Greek frat parties and all that and what's going on. People need to stop and realize what the hell is going on here. And it's like the whole, I'm talking, the whole court, the university, the prosecution, and now you got this university head that puts out a book to spread his his crap, his narrative. And yet there's a gag order, but there's not a gag order on the president of the university. He can say any damn thing he wants. Anyway.
Memorial. It's a great tribute. I urge you to buy the book. I'm just going to be skipping around, pulling out different fair use portions. Hopefully, I believe they understand the concept of fair use. A couple of people I've dealt with lately don't understand the concept of fair use in YouTube, but thank God for turning one around, and I pray he's working on turning that other situation around for the good too, in Jesus' name. So when Scott first took over as president, he faced the daunting financial hole, he called it. The enrollment numbers were down, employment rate had been increasing. So UI's chief financial officer, Brian Foisey, told Scott that the university only had 18 months worth of cash left before it became insolvent. So that's not long. Green said the university was on the verge of losing $22 million. So he set a campus-wide goal to save the university $14 million, and he praised employees for exceeding that goal. So they talk a little bit about that crisis they were in, and then the pandemic hit. And this is going to be weird, how the pandemic is going to cause certain students to protest and even go to his house. Oh my goodness. And one of them eerily, ominously, to start dressing up as the Grim Reaper. Now, this is back during the pandemic, but I thought, can you imagine a Grim Reaper on campus? These students laying down on the ground, playing dead. And just what, not a clarion call, but just really an ominous, foreboding, eerie sign that must have been of things to come just a couple of years later without them knowing it. So Scott said, in terms of the pandemic, you have to put your health and safety first. You have to make a call whether or not to keep your campus safe. So that's why he wrote a chapter called The Grim Reaper. And that was discussing where people were saying these students, a small but vocal group, he said, were accusing him of putting profits over safety of student lives when they decided to stay open safely. They didn't shut everything down, I guess, for a long period of time. And one of those protests took place in front of the president's house, including the student dressed as the Grim Reaper. So that's where, when you buy the book and you see chapter 36, the Grim Reaper, you start thinking, oh, this must be the chapter about the 4 students who lost their lives. But no, he's talking about the pandemic. He said there were still strong detractors to Scott moving the campus to its open safely status. We knew we were as prepared as possible with our meticulous planning and execution. The criticism seemed massive, but it was a small minority of very loud people using every tool they had to pressure us not to open. During orientation events before the first day of class, a few students accused the university of putting profits over lives. They conducted a die-in as opposed to a sit-in, back in the 60s and 70s. They conducted a die-in by laying down on the pavement to represent dead bodies. The same group of about 4 or 5 grad students also exercised their right to peacefully protest, with one member always dressed as the Grim Reaper. They decided to protest at University House one afternoon. So Scott said they just stood by the driveway. When I drove into my driveway after work, I saw the Grim Reaper and 2 or 3 others park the car in the garage and went into the house. They left, end of protest. That gets a little creepy. Imagine you're the president of a university and, people don't agree with your politics or your policies or how you're running things. And so they dress up like the Grim Reaper. Did it have the sickle and the robe and everything, I'm assuming? And then they go to his house. They just stood by the driveway. Were they in the driveway? Were they in his yard? That's kind of weird. But he went in, they went in, protest ended. So that was fine, but whoa, that was like a harbinger again of things to come. I wanted to focus on that chapter a little bit. Now, there's a ton, but I'm skipping all the way, basically almost to the end. Chapter 43, When Evil Visits Your Campus. But before we read that real quick, I want to tell you about Scott's dad actually owning that 1122 King Road house and the reasons why.
So there you got it. So a lot of people didn't know that he even talked about it. They thought it was just like a university book. No, he talks about it, all right. And that should not have been talked about. It should not, nothing should have been brought up about that case when this case is not over yet. This case hasn't even begun. And they're pushing that narrative? Are you serious?
Why he wrote the book. He said that Grim Reaper incident, reliving that was very stressful, just thinking back through all those decisions we had to make because the stakes were so high. We're just very proud of what we accomplished, and we realized that others can learn from that and utilize our experience. They were done with this book. They didn't plan on writing this book at all about the murders because they hadn't happened. He said, Temple said the book was meant to be about only UI's response to the pandemic and budgetary issues. But then another crisis emerged. That's when the murders happened. We were finished with the manuscript and pitched it, she said. And then the capital crimes happened. So that's what.
Okay, hold everything here. Deborah G. Are you sure? I didn't know that. Deborah G says, Rach, all the players that want BK to go down will leave a black mark there and no choice to move. The cop that took Kaylee's driver's license ended up dead? What? Yet nobody talks about it? Makes me wonder. How did he... How... I am going to have to look into that. I never heard that. Yeah, what cop? I didn't. Let's clear that up right now before this goes any further. Yeah, what's the source? What's the receipts on this? I know he left. Or he got like, he's doing, yeah, was that Rosie? Yeah, I don't think he's dead. No. I do not think that he's dead. Guys, talk about that in chat and see if you can figure something out while I keep playing this here.
Where we talk about this aftermath, the events, what everyone was doing when evil visits your campus. Temple said it was a tough decision to address the murders in the book. They felt it was important because this kind of crisis is becoming more common on school campuses. God, I hope not. I mean, I know there are plenty of school shootings, unfortunately. This one's a little bit different in that it's a stabbing, but still, unfortunately, other college campuses can learn from how to deal with the tragedy. As Scott worked through these challenges, he was motivated by his history with Moscow and UI. He grew up in Moscow. He received his undergraduate degree at University of Idaho, and he's a third-generation Vandal. I just care deeply about this place, and it does show as you read through it what we're going to read through. Let's talk a little bit about Scott Green's family owning that 1122 King Road house. Now, he never.
Okay, this is too big to let go here. There is nobody here that has heard that whatsoever, Deborah G. And I know Strange has been investigating, and I've been in this every day too, and so is my investigators, and I've never heard that that he is gone. Have you heard this, and where is your receipts on this? Can you state your receipts, please? Where did you hear this? Where's the article? Where's where did you hear this? Deborah G. Yeah, I mean, I have a whole investigative team, and I've never found anything about this. Deborah G, you just keep putting this stuff out there, and yeah. If you don't have the receipts on that, I mean, that's a terrible thing to say if you don't have the receipts, Deborah G. Okay, thanks, Elbow.
Lived there, but this is per the Idaho Statesman. Scott's family once owned that Moscow property where the 4 victims were killed. Decades ago, Scott Green's family owned the property. This is property that has since been demolished. This is something I hope, again, the defense doesn't glom onto and look for an excuse as to, oh, that's why it was demolished and his family once owned it, and what is he trying to hide, and why didn't Scott heed the desires of the families, at least a couple of families, 2 or 3 of the victims' families who wanted the house to just stay there, at least until after the trial, at least until giving the jury, if they wanted it, an option to literally walk through the home. Now, I know they've created models, they've created 3D renderings, they've created all this stuff, and the home, I guess it had been stripped from the inside anyway or something. Of course, it didn't have the same furniture and decorations and accoutrements and everything as when the students lived there. So people were saying, well, you couldn't hear it anyway. The sound wouldn't echo the same way anyway. If the jurors wanted to go upstairs and go up to the bedroom and tussle around and see what you could hear downstairs for their own knowledge, it would sound differently anyway. True, but in my personal opinion, I wish they had been given the option. Like someone said, it's better to not need it and still have the house there than need it and not have the house there, even if it's because the jury would want to walk in that back parking lot and just see, even as it got darker at night, or imagine what the view might have been. Anyway, Jody Walker, a spokesperson for the university, told the Idaho Statesman by email that Scott's father owned and sold several properties in Moscow in the late 1960s and early 70s, including the King Road parcel. So Walker said it was sold 50 years ago in 1973. President Green has no memory of the house and did not grow up there. So it's weird when that news broke. The news about Scott's family's connection to that house came just one day after the 6-bedroom rental home was torn down. Isn't that weird? Despite pushback from at least 2 of the victims' families. That's what the Idaho Statesman reports. Now, according to a statement from the Kernodle family and the Gonzalez family, quote, "We all along have just wanted the King Road home to not be demolished until after the trial, and for us to have a trial date so that we can look forward to justice being served." Is that really too much to ask? I don't think it's too much to ask. But Scott Green had previously said in a news release, it is the grim reminder. There's that word again, grim, like Grim Reaper. It is the grim reminder of the heinous act that took place there. While we appreciate the emotional connection some family members of the victims may have to this house, it is time for its removal and to allow the collective healing of our community to continue. Well, the healing garden should help, giving the students a place to go and reflect and look at the victims' photos and remember the good times with them. Smile, laugh, and cry, sit there, journal, whatever, do whatever, and just reflect. And I know that house was a grim reminder, but I wish they could have just kept it up until the trial was over. Scott did have an interview with the Statesman back then. He acknowledged the family's concerns, but said the university has been in communication with the prosecution and defense to make sure demolishing the home wouldn't affect the criminal case. So Scott said, "We didn't, of course, want to do anything that would endanger the court case, so we made sure we were very careful so the mood of our community and the essential healing that has to happen here together with doing no more harm to the case, this just made sense to us at this time." So I hope it's true. Now let's dig into this When Evil Hits Your Campus chapter. And of course, I'm not reading the whole thing. Again, I'm skipping through, going through the highlights. Please purchase the book yourself if you want to know more. Read the whole thing. When Evil Visits Your Campus opens with a quote by Brenda Helbling, and it says, "It was one of the most powerful moments I've witnessed. It was like a warm hug for the families." They're going to talk a little bit more in here about a hug, a warm hug. So Scott did put a note at the beginning of this chapter. He debated with himself and with others in his administration how to deal with the horrendous crisis that hit the University of Idaho, Moscow, and the surrounding areas, the Vandal family, November 13th, 2022. He said it certainly was something.
Yeah, in no way am I suggesting to especially if you don't believe in that narrative that she portrays. The reason I'm playing this video is for the information, not the narrative, and I just want you all to know that, because there is good information on here that I didn't realize about that book. I mean, I remember when it came out, not just recently, like a month ago or something. I didn't realize there was a chapter on this. But yeah, I'm surprised more people have not run a show on this, because that book should not have been put out before the trial. I'm sorry, but I just do not agree with that whatsoever. Here the judge can put on all these gag order this, gag order that, but yet, oh, my University of Idaho president, he can write a book about it, and how the suffering here and there, and all that, and I no. So they're getting all this free narrative stuff in their community where the jury pool is going to be chosen. I wonder how many people in the jury, and I hope Ann Taylor has this question to the jurors. Did you read that book? Unbelievable.
Thing no one saw coming. After many careful and thoughtful discussions, I knew it fell to me to share the university's response to one of the darkest events in the institution's history. I also knew including a chapter in this book would be difficult. The situation was recent and still felt raw. It will for a long time, but this book is about telling the U of I's story and how to deal with situations, good, bad, or otherwise. Temple and I included this chapter to speak to the greater good of helping others manage through a similar situation, with the hope no one ever has to refer to this part of the university's history, this part of the university's story, basically. They've outlined a lot of critical lessons they've learned, and they want to remain empathetic to the victims' families. And they are dedicating this chapter to Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee. Scott wrote, "There is not a day that goes by that I don't think about those four incredible vandals." So he starts off, and I'm just going to pick out little pieces. It was the Sunday, November 13th. It started like any other Sunday. Temple must be writing this part because she said it started like any other Sunday, a day of rest for Scott. Weather-wise, it was a strange weekend with the temperatures fluctuating widely on the Palouse for that time of year. Scott had settled in at University House with a game of football on TV and thoughts of the upcoming fall recess and Thanksgiving only a week away. But as he watched the competition unfold on the screen before him, something just felt off. Not with the game, but in general. He wasn't sure what it was, but something was nagging at him. Lee Espy's day started as a relaxing Sunday at home across town. Lee was the division operations officer for finance and administration at the university. Lee said, "I woke up, spent time doing chores around the house, went on a run, and after cleaning up, had settled in to watch a basketball game. But shortly after noon, that's when Lee's phone rang." So it's really interesting. We get a timeline here. Shortly after noon, Lee's phone rang. So people who think students probably found out a little bit earlier. We don't know the contents of the 911 call, but here they're talking about, look, shortly after noon, that's when Lee found out. "I received a call from Jake Nichols, U of I Executive Director of Public Safety and Security. The only words that came out of his mouth were, "Have you heard what's going on?" When I told him I hadn't, he informed me there had been an incident on King Road, a quadruple homicide, likely students. Jake informed me that he was out of town but heading this way, and I suggested that I go and start setting up a command center at the U of I administration building, and he and others could arrive. So Lee knew it was his job. Look, I've got to gather the Vandal tribe immediately. So Lee called Scott. There was no answer. He quickly sent a text, which prompted Scott to instantly call. A phone call they say all presidents fear. That fateful Sunday just before 1 p.m., Scott learned of the tragic and brutal murders of 4 people in Moscow at a home on King Road near U of I campus. So Lee said the call was short. I let him know the plan to set up the command post, and he agreed to head to the administration building. Vice Provost of Student Affairs and Dean of Students, Blaine Eccles, was preparing to go to Costco with his wife. You know, it's a Sunday. People are doing normal stuff, but just before noon. Now this says just before noon, so it sounds like Blaine may have been one of the first officials to find out. Just before noon, he received an alert on his phone about an unconscious individual at a residence on King Road. That checks out with what we see in the Moscow PD alerts, you know, we see in those incident reports. At first, you just thought it was an unconscious person. We still don't know who that person was. Blaine said, "My protocol for stuff like this is that I don't do anything proactive because police or security is responding. They know to call me when and if it's an emergency." And boy, did they call him. So that call came when Blaine was in the parking lot at Costco. Campus Captain Tyson Barrett from the Moscow Police Department informed Blaine that 4 individuals were found dead and believed to be college-aged, most likely murdered. "I just couldn't wrap my head around what was going on," Blaine recalled. So yeah, you're going to Costco with your wife, and all of a sudden, in this so-called very safe community, 4 college students are dead. So he immediately contacted Provost Tori Lawrence and Scott while his phone was buzzing and chiming, going off with dozens of notifications. His wife drove them back to Moscow, and he handled the onslaught of calls and texts. Once back to Moscow, he headed to Incident Command on campus. So the news about the victims.
Can you believe? Can you believe what you're hearing here, folks? He actually had a command center at the university. He actually had a command center. Is he the law enforcement? Yeah, actually had a command center. Are you? I don't know, folks. I mean, it's too much sometimes. It's too much. And I can't believe people don't see right through. I can see my crime family out there. They can see right through the crap. And that's why you are all my beautiful crime family, because you can actually see it. By the way, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. This is where you hear the news and you know, on this case and other cases. And we have a beautiful crime family here. And please hit the like button and please subscribe. We're getting close to 3,000 subs. So I'd appreciate your subscription. And we will be coming out with members only videos and member only lives. There's a lot going on with this channel. There's going to be different people with shows on this channel, which is going to take this to a different level than what others have. There's going to be at least like 4 other shows that will be on this channel. I'm looking to expand. So, and we make no money here. There is no money here. And anything that's taken in, that will be taken in, memberships and blah, 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 is going to be just to charity, to like St. Jude's Hospital, Children's Hospital, which is who I give to. No money is ever made with this channel. There is no profit in this channel whatsoever. So that's why you don't get ads. You'll never get ads on this ever. So anyway, let's finish this up, and because yeah, I don't like her narrative that much either on this take, and yeah.
Went viral in a matter of minutes. They talk about social media blowing up, news and speculation sowed fear into the community, and despite the emotional toll, thrust the university into high gear to be at the top of its game. Lee contacted U of I's safety and security team, Jody Walker, the co-chief marketing officer. I also called and texted the leadership team. So they're all mobilizing. They're talking about getting all the right decision makers together. Thankfully, they weren't starting at ground zero. They had an emergency response framework and all that. They talk about the vandal alerts sent out. I found it interesting. The one vandal alert, the very first one that I found on Twitter, that they did not include in this book. So they talk about the group quickly crafted and sent a vandal alert to the campus, informing that MPD was conducting a homicide investigation and instructing employees and students to stay away from the King Road area and shelter in place. While they quote verbatim the other vandal alerts, I found it interesting they did not quote verbatim that alert. I still found it on Twitter. This was tweeted November 13th, 5:07 p.m. So I'm assuming that would have been, I guess, 2:07 p.m. their time. It says, quote, vandal alert. Moscow PD is investigating a homicide. It just said a homicide on King Road near campus. Suspect is not known at this time. Stay away from the area and shelter in place. I always had a problem with the way that was written. By then, at that time, whether it was 2:07 p.m. or later, they definitely knew there were 4 people dead in that 1122 King Road house. But they wrote, Moscow PD is investigating a homicide. That's singular, a homicide. And I never know why they wrote that, but they don't quote.
Maybe it was because it was a cover-up from the get-go. They were trying to hide things from the very first moments. They've been trying to hide things, and all the way up till today, they are still trying to hide things and make that university look nice and shiny. It's bullshit.
Quoted in the book, while they will quote the other vandal alerts. But Lee said, at this point, we had no idea if there was an ongoing threat or if this was an isolated incident. I remember pivoting between the Office of Public Safety and Security team and the EPG team, sharing information. Once President Green and Provost Lawrence made it to the command center, President Green asked me what I knew. I remember the hair standing up on the back of my neck, looking into his eyes and telling him that 4 people were dead, presumably students. He let out a sound of disbelief, pain, and sorrow all at the same time, and rubbed his eyes, and then immediately began to look weary with the painful thought that 4 young lives had been cut short. Scott Green said, even though there was not much info, the mood was somber. We knew the victims were likely students. The team's immediate concern was for the safety of the students and employees sheltering in place. No one knew if there was still an active threat. At a minimum, the team knew there were U of I employees and students sheltering on campus at the university library, the Pittman Center, the Hartung Theater, and the College of Law. I'm certain everyone was scared and wanted to go home. So they did have to coordinate at this point, getting the friends away from the King Road residence. It says MPD Captain Barrett reached out to Blaine to help coordinate getting the friends at the King Road residence away from the crime scene. So Blaine contacted the Dean of Students. I'm not going into all of it. They did say Blaine contacted the Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life, Nick O'Neill, to be prepared when MPD released the names of the victims. That's because Blaine said, we had a strong suspicion Greek students were involved because of reports we'd heard. But our protocol is whenever a student dies, we help track down contact info and give that to the police. We don't reach out directly to families initially. We give the police as much info as we can in a legal sense so they can do their jobs of notifying the families. Makes sense to me. So the details were few, but they're saying at that point, MPD informed campus safety and security later that afternoon the attack appeared to be targeted from what they observed, and I guess they were right. It seems like, from what we know, Koberger targeted that house. They didn't believe there was an active threat, but the community should remain vigilant. So they sent out another alert. Now this one, they quoted, "Investigation continues. Suspect unknown. MPD does not believe there is an active threat. Shelter in place lifted. Remain vigilant. If you have info, contact Moscow police." So they did quote that one exactly. So basically, at least it gave the people sheltering in place the green light to get out of there, go home if they wanted. So they got advice to double their security numbers and patrols on campus. They reached out to third-party security partners. They wanted more visibility, more vehicles, additional bodies there. The internal team worked together. They hired more guards. They set aside discussions of budgets and financial implications at that point, and they empowered the security team to move and build the right charge, he said. So finally, around noon the next day, that would be the Monday, Scott issued a memo naming the victims. So I'm sure a lot of people already knew around campus, but this is when it became official. This probably was the time I started hearing about with MPD to give them info to conduct the investigation. They prepared talking points for press conferences and responded to media requests for info and interviews with university personnel in limited cases. Some people don't really like that. Maybe they wanted the police department to work more independently. I think it had to be pretty intertwined, though. Scott admitted, basically, frankly, the town was ill prepared for a crime of this magnitude. Moscow had always been deemed a safe community, and the U of I campus year after year appeared on lists as
Okay, well, through our investigations and ongoing investigations with my team, we're going to be releasing that. That isn't exactly a true statement. I mean, they're trying to push this narrative of, oh, this was such a nice town and, blah, blah, blah. No, not at all. And we're going to be exposing some stuff here in the next couple of weeks that's going to be mind-boggling. That's coming. This isn't that shiny little town that they like to portray. This isn't a shiny little university. I would say the town, maybe the town, but it's all the problems are caused by the university. And they're trying to shine this little university up. They're trying to take that polishing cloth and they just shine and knot it all up. And it's a bunch of crap. Anyway, I don't really want to watch any more of this. But you get the drift. You get the drift of what they're trying to do here and what he's trying to do. And for him to be able to put out a book like this before the trial just blows me away. I mean, I can see if it's somebody covering the case like what was his name? I can't even think of his name right now. But there's been others that have written books on it. But they're not from Moscow, Idaho, and they're not the president of the university, who's got a lot of power. And they're going to be spreading this to throughout Moscow and throughout Idaho. I think, in my opinion, the timing of this was done on purpose. Because they want Brian Koberger to go down for this. Guilty or not guilty. That is the university's stance. They don't want any of the university students looked at. They don't want the frats looked at. They want distractions and distractions and distractions. And I get the distractions in this channel trying to distract me from doing my job. And you go into other creators' shows, and they're doing the same in there. And it makes you wonder. Well, guess what? I will not be distracted. I will get the word out. I will expose what I can expose. And that's that. Anyway, you know what? I didn't even say hi to anybody. So I'm going to start. My Pebbles, my girl. Joe, love Tina. Cat K, my girl. Pebbles, my girl. Low 12, real girl. Nacho, my girl. Wendy. Kim. Beach D. Chris S. Nacho Carly. Or is it Carly? Wendy Mama. How you doing? Cat's Puppy Love. Hope, my girl. Sweet Surrender, my girl. Sherlock. Deborah Putnam. Hey, girl, how you doing? I know they can't handle the truth. You got that right. And I just want to say hi to all of you. Jackie, good to see you. You got a lot in here, so it's hard to get to everybody, but I kind of forgot to say my highs. Elliot, good to see you. Julianne, good to see you. Dreamer, there's many. So M. Kaz, Leslie. All right. Well, that section is over, and we just got to keep. We can't let these people control the narrative, and it is being done, and it is being controlled. It is being controlled by a gag order that Brian now does not want. He does not want a gag order. He wants everything to be transparent, because you know why? He has nothing to lose. He has nothing to lose. His life is on the line. He wants it transparent. He wants these people exposed for who they are. And any creator out there that I know, that's what we're pushing all the time, is to get to the truth of this and make it transparent. And we've been screaming that since day one. And I'm glad Brian is finally taking that stance that he needs to take. I wish he would have done it sooner, but being late sometimes it's better than never, right? Things need to be released. Anyway, we do have a sad case that started this day off for me, kind of. This has been a really crazy day. My phone was blown up from the time I got up. Personal stuff. Amongst all this, I do have a friend that's not doing so well, and we're trying to plan a memorial, not a memorial, but a benefit, a benefit for Saturday for him, and live music, which I'll be part of. And so I had been dealing with that, dealing with some personal issues, and then getting the very sad news about Donna. And if you don't know, it has been reported that they have found Donna and they have found her deceased. And I don't know if it's been verified yet or not um, from the family. It's been verified through our sources. Uh, and that's a hard thing to come out with, you know. Everybody was hoping for the best, even though with the weather, um, the way it was, yeah, you know, most of us were kind of knowing that it didn't look good. And I feel really awful because I feel this was something that was so preventable, so preventable. And I don't know if it was a miscommunications or what, but I look at that road that where she was dropped off at, and that's roads like up in my neck of the woods, you know, and I'm talking woods. Um, that looks like a four-wheel drive or four-wheeler trail. You know, I got one just not far from here. I mean, a car can go down there and trucks go down. Actually, you can go to lakes, but it's just a single, you know, single thing, like a wood out in the middle of the woods, you know. And that's what it looked like to me. And how a police officer can leave somebody after brain surgery, dark time, and just drop her off in the middle of nowhere is beyond me. I mean, I don't know what's going on in this country, and it's really starting to get to me because people are losing. Maybe they've never been taught common sense. I don't know, but this country used to have common sense, and it's losing that common sense in and spiritually, politically, in almost all aspects. And it's time people start speaking up about this. Start using common sense. I want to hear what that police officer, what her reasoning was. Does a police officer actually lack the common sense of that? I don't get it. I don't get it, family. I don't get it. This seems to be happening all over the country. It's like people have lost their common sense. I don't know. Is A.R. Hayes still in here by any chance? Was he in here earlier, I thought, or something? Did I see something? Hi, Justice. Layla. Chloe. Cryptic, you're back. Cryptic. Okay, well, Donna, I'll bring up some stuff here. Just give me a moment. Give me a moment. I know where it's at here. Okay. I'm getting there. Here we go. Okay, what's showing on screen here? Only that is. Okay, let me do it again then. There we go. And this was Donna, and she went missing. It's kind of a long story, and it's a crazy story. She was in the hospital and had some brain surgery. I don't know why the family didn't go pick her up. I'm not sure of the whole story here. But apparently a police officer picked her up from the hospital and dropped her off out in the middle of the woods. And she ended up missing. And in my opinion, they didn't get the search team together fast enough. I don't even know if the police were even involved right away, and it seemed they were more interested in covering up than anything. I don't know. It's just really sad. Ashley said, and Ashley's in here right now. What a time to go missing, too. It's absolutely freezing. Praying she gets brought home. Doodlebug, who lives right close by there and has organized some searches. No stock misunderstood. This lady had brain surgery, transferred to Washington County Hospital. A deputy picked her up, which I don't understand that. I don't understand why a deputy picked her up and was supposed to take her to her brother's. The deputy dropped her off on the wrong gravel road. Now, remember, this is a gal that just had brain surgery. All right. You would want to make sure that they made it right to the house, right? And even help them into the house. No lights, no houses for miles. He just let her out. And I think it's a she. I don't think it's a he. I think we found out later it was a she. Just let her out at the start of this road. She was supposed to go up the road 1.5 miles to her brother's house. She only had a hoodie and jeans. Yeah, I mean, this is like this was so preventable. I don't get it. To clear up the $1 million question why the deputy dropped Donna off on that road, we have no idea. Is this showing on the screen now? Yeah. We really do not know anything about the logic behind it other than the police told Fox 2 News that the deputy offered to drive Donna up the driveway and Donna said no. But it wasn't even a driveway. Right. I mean, this is in the middle of the woods. Now, couldn't the couldn't the officer see that she was messed up a little bit and seen that was not a driveway? I mean, I have so many questions about this. Why was she offered a drive? Why was she offering her to drive her down a fire trail road? Like what? Make it make sense because my head hurts trying to understand the logic behind the logic of this deputy. I fully agree deputies are not a taxi service and shouldn't be used as such. The only reason this is even the biggest red flag is because she was the last person to see Donna. That's it. It has nothing to do with the badge. Today we spend a good chunk of our day making phone calls, going higher up the chain to get things moving. We still had people in the woods continuing to search for those of you keeping track what we are and aren't doing. This has been an absolute nightmare, and we haven't received any updates because there either isn't any or we just aren't being told there if there is. Our calls aren't even being answered. Either way, it's not going to stop us. To clear up the $1 million question, why did the deputy? Okay, yeah, we've already been there. I'm not sure what order this is in, folks. And these are just people, some comments and stuff. Donna Janine Cross, missing since January 8th, 2024 at 11 p.m. 11 p.m., people. And she gets dropped off on a fire trail. Missing from Potosi, Missouri. Donna was picked up from the Washington County Hospital by a Washington County deputy that stated he dropped Donna off at Fire Trail Road off of Shirley School Road. This is 1.5 miles from where she was supposed to have been dropped off at. The road, this is what it sounds like to me, folks. This is what it sounds like to me. It sounds like possibly that Donna thought that was the driveway to her brother's. I mean, you got to remember she just had brain surgery. Her mind wasn't in the right place. And that's what I almost think that maybe she said, oh, this is it here. But the law enforcement officer should know the area. I mean, it's a deputy sheriff. It's a deputy sheriff. And to drop her off there is just, there's no excuse for this. She should be immediately fired with no pay, no nothing. That person should not be in law enforcement. If they can't see and they can't determine common sense for the life of somebody, for someone's life, couldn't see that was a dangerous situation. I don't get it. Oh boy. Here's some pictures of her. Is that showing up now? No. Okay. There's some pictures of her. Why didn't it get them out here? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anymore, people. I really don't know. More pictures of her with her puppy. I mean, she just looks like a meek little person, very petite. And she was friends with A.R. Hayes. If A.R. is in here, you're welcome to come up, brother, if you want. And this is in memory of her. Because her life was taken by stupidity. And I'm not attacking a badge. I'm not attacking the badge. I'm attacking people that wear the badge. Some people that wear that badge, they need to have more common sense in this. Yeah, it's very sad. Very, very sad. I didn't get answered. Is A.R. Hayes out there? Anybody? Do you want to come up? Right, Elliot. Yeah, I agree. Yes, Joe. Definitely responsible for her. I mean, it's out of the hospital. Once the hospital released her into the police, the law enforcement's hands, it's on law enforcement. But it makes me wonder why the family didn't go pick her up. And okay, Peps, thank you. Yeah, and so tonight in your prayers, say some prayers for that family. I don't understand why they didn't go pick her up. If they couldn't get a hold of them, maybe. We don't know the story there yet, and I haven't checked on with everything that's been going on today. I haven't been able to investigate like I usually do. I was one of the first ones to come out with it, but I haven't followed up. I wanted to do that today right before the show, but I haven't got there. So, yeah, just say some prayers for the family and for AR. I know it's losing, even though I know it was a Facebook friend. He said they talked a lot. And I've lost a lot of Facebook friends, and it's not. It's not fun, especially ones that you've gotten to know a little bit. And it was actually in a group of his. I'll let him do the explaining when he comes out, because I know AR. He's going to want a little time to collect his thoughts. That's the way he usually is. All we can do, and I do. When I was raising my kids, that's one thing I always talked about: is use your common sense. Use your common sense. And I don't know if that is expressed enough nowadays, and I can't express to you enough. And anybody out there with children or grandchildren, is to teach them common sense and to look to have common sense, because it's an important thing in life. It's a very important thing in life. I wish I would have had more common sense growing up. I mean, I made a lot of bad choices. My health would probably be in a lot better shape if I would have made some more common sense choices. But I was taught common sense, even though I didn't use it for myself. I would have known that there was something wrong about dropping her off where that road is. I've seen pictures of the road, and that just, just crazy. Very preventable death. So anyway, I think that's it for tonight. It's very troublesome. That's very troublesome, and this case is very troublesome. The Idaho 4 case, and them trying to shine up this, and put out their narrative of this shiny university. It's like they're polishing the diamond. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that orange mango juice is really good. So anyway, yeah, that's about it for the night, folks. And I'll leave this. I'll leave you on I'm going to leave a nice long outro so you guys can chat a little bit, because there was a lot of information here. And I'm going to do a song that you haven't heard yet. And I did all the instruments on it. I recorded it in my little studio, so it's not perfect or anything. But it's called He Said, She Said. And the second part of the video is quite interesting. Anyway, my beautiful crime family, I love you. To the ones that have not joined up, please subscribe and like the video. You will never regret being a subscriber to this channel. And we have an awesome chat. We have awesome mods. And until next time, people, rock it and roll.
Tell you about a story we all know, and it goes something like this. You give them your heart, you give them your soul, and then they flush it down the toilet bowl. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. You find yourself in the rage, and then you wake up in a cage. And that's the way it always goes. You just have to learn how to let go. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. You call them here, you call them there, and then you feel like pulling out your hair. You give them your heart, you give them your soul, and then they flush it down the toilet bowl. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. You call them here, you call them there, and then they act like they don't care. Give them your love, you give them your soul, and then they flush it down the toilet bowl. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two. He said, she said, what you gonna do? I don't know, give me a beer or two.
the world today. You're so good to me, I know, but I can't change. Tried to tell you, but you look at me like maybe I'm an angel underneath. Innocent and sweet. Yesterday I cried. Must have been relieved to see the softer side. I can't understand how you'd be so confused. I don't envy you. I'm a little bit of everything, all into one. I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. I'm your help, I'm your dream. I'm nothing in between. You know you wouldn't want it any other way. So take me as I am. This may mean you'll have to be a stronger man. Rest assured that when I start to make you nervous, I'm going to extremes. Tomorrow I will change, and today won't be nothing. I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. I'm your help, I'm your dream. I'm nothing in between. You know you wouldn't want it any other way. When you think you got me figured out, the seasons already changing. I think it's cool you do what you do, and don't try to say I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. I'm your help, I'm your dream. I'm nothing. When you suffer, I'm an angel undercover. I've been wrong, I'm refined. Can't say I'm not alive. You know you wouldn't want it any other way.
On fire and no one could save me but you. Strange what desire will make foolish people do. I never dreamed that I'd love somebody like you. I never dreamed that I'd lose somebody like you. No, I don't wanna fall in love. No, I don't wanna fall in love with you. With you. What a wicked game you play to make me feel this way. What a wicked thing you do to make me dream of you. What a wicked thing to say. Never felt this way. What a wicked thing to do to make me dream of you. And I don't wanna fall in love. No, I don't wanna fall in love with you. World was on fire and no one could save me but you. Strange what desire will make foolish people do. I never dreamed that I'd love somebody like you. I never dreamed that I'd lose somebody like you. No, I don't wanna fall in love. No, I don't wanna fall in love with you. Nobody loves no one.
But